Hello, you beautiful stars. Courtney here with Stars of the Morning Light. So, thank you all for your positive, good feedback from the video I did with Geza, the last esoteric tea. I think this is a new thing that I'm going to do to better serve all of you. And today I have actually my sister-in-law, Amy, with us. So, hi, Amy. Hi, you beautiful stars.
Um,
What this is until, I do more of these so everyone knows is Amy is going to be asking me questions because most of my subscribers, they know I can go off on a tangent. I'm way off in left field. People might have to listen three or four times to understand what's coming out of my mouth. So this is for me to better serve you guys. And I hope everyone is doing well and is safe and stay warm. Drink plenty of water. And oh, Amy, it's good to see you. My sister-in-law, who I don't normally, we don't do this. We're usually
see
on the
each
phone.
other.
Yeah, we see each other. So it's a
Yeah.
beautiful, thing to actually see you. How are you, Amy?
Indeed. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm loving all the like reef stuff going on in the background.
This is my COVID office, which was like a storage closet. So there's
Oh,
all kinds of works in progress in
okay.
the
I'm
background
I'm
and
digging it.
the
I'm digging
shelf.
it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it is what it is. But
And
yeah.
thank you for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
No, this is gonna be, I'm excited and it's fun.
it's
It's gonna be
fun.
fun.
Yeah. So lay it on me. What's a question?
So I feel like it's more like personal advice, honestly. But which is fine. But like I I feel like it's a big thing in kind of like the zeitgeist right now, like all of this like healing generational trauma stuff. And
Hey, Amy, before you
yeah,
continue, can you make sure your volume's up more?
yeah.
I think
Let
you're
me
a little
see.
bit low, especially I know some folks here, yeah, my voice tends to be too low. Um,
Too low.
yeah.
I can also just try to talk louder.
Yeah, talk louder, Amy.
I'm just
Project.
getting over a cold too. So hold
Like,
on.
claim your voice.
I
Yes.
know, right? I know. Normally people tell me like, oh my God, but so yeah. Anyway, like yeah, there's a big push for like generational healing, healing generational trauma stuff. So while I mess with my volume, I was wondering, did did you feel a push for that? Like a lot of generational healing and like what might have been your first step in
Oh,
healing your stuff?
um,
Is that a doozy?
and
I
the
don't
whole
know.
audience, if you saw the screen, you would have seen that face. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Um, I think for me, okay, for me personally, um, my generational healing came at many different times and different levels and different
Mhm.
depths. Um, but I will say, and I'll get into it. I will say in 2000, somewhere between 2014 and 2016, I had a push that it wasn't just generational, it was also like DNA. It
Right.
was it was it was and that's why I think okay, I need a moment to really break this down. Um because before I go into the generational stuff, I do want to say that yeah, in like 2014 to 2016, um I had a very big push to cleanse my DNA of any karmic that my ancestors and whatnot experienced. And us American mutts, I mean, that's pretty intensive, because it's coming from all angles, and that's when I learned more too, that, my mind is the emerald tablets, my soul is more native this time around in its focus, but my DNA is Viking. I mean, it's clear for most people when they get with me, they're like, whoa, you're massive. Yeah, it's Viking blood. Um,
Mhm.
that for me, it was kind of taking care of all of those. For that push so much, it was also leading me into why I had to heal my DNA aspect of uh, ancestral trauma prior to 2020. That was it was a big push, and it kind of all coincide with what I knew what was going to happen. Um, as far as my current, life healing that, I actually taught this past Saturday what I thought, and I still believe is my biggest class of the year. And it's all about healing that inner child, but also looking at the codependency, thought patterns and behaviors. And the world, I read an article, I think in Psychology Today, I think was the magazine, I think that was 2016, that said, like 98% of all the humans, just humans, not just America, all humans walking the planet have some form of codependent thought patterns and behaviors.
Mm.
And when you start going through the list and you start going through this and that, I mean, it's like, yeah, that's for positive, that's for sure. And that's the kind of stuff that has been taught and learned by even just observing our parents and grandparents. And that's the kind of stuff that's trickled down through the generations, that when there is trauma, we learn how to act and react and how to handle it via actually codependence.
Okay.
So for me, well, see, but I knew that for a long, many years. When I started, well, when I started junior college, and then before I took some time off and then went back to college, I was in sociology at the time, and in one of those classes, I wrote like a 20-page paper on codependency. I mean, and it was me trying to figure out what the heck was wrong with me, 19 at the time. But then it just got worse and worse and worse. And I remember then when I was in real college, I was taking psychology of women class, which was phenomenal. And towards the end, kind of, I came in late. I was not a good student. I had a bad drinking problem, guys. Um, and she, at the start of the class, took all these anonymous, Q&A stuff. Well, because I came in late, I just had to raise my hand and be like, yeah. And I remember asking, in that class with a bunch of kids that didn't even understand what was coming out of my mouth then, um, I said, can you get over codependency without counseling?
Oh.
And for how severe I would kind of come into that classroom on days, like looking like I just got the shit kicked out of me the night before, because I did.
Mhm.
She was like, no, like, no, you got to get counseling.
Mhm.
So then jump forward. I had married your brother. Jump forward. I met the love of my life. I married your brother. Um, and about 3 years into our marriage, I was miserable. So was he, because
Mhm.
we were both two codependent people, reacting and reacting in really horrible thought patterns and habits that um, I then sought out a counselor that specialized in codependency. And then
Okay.
from there, deep inner child work.
Okay.
And then from there, I started going to CODA meetings, Codependence Anonymous meetings, which was really the root of all of my anger and frustrations. Um, so it's a long road, and I still heal. I still have my moments in that time with that stuff,
Yeah.
but then I catch it a whole lot faster. Because we're trying to catch our thoughts. I mean, the first thing that any change, any spiritual development, anything, social, personal, economical, anything, it starts with awareness.
Okay.
So we have to start catching our thoughts. In like my shadow work classes, it's a lot of the whole beginning, and even in my Patreon classes currently, it's catching the thoughts of how often are we in fear? How often?
Yeah.
So, because first we got to be aware of things. And then it springs the change. That's how it's the catalyst to change. Um, and you can see it all over the place. That's how it always goes. So for me, it was a lot of inner child work that I had to do.
Okay.
Because and Amy knows here, and a lot of my subscribers here know. I mean, I lived in a very um dangerous household growing up, very very dangerous, but it was also like very psychotic in its mental abuse, much more extreme than some. And then even post when that kind of ended, I was dealing with other stuff.
Yeah.
So I had to handle the inner child, because oftentimes, no matter what it might be, it might not have to be as dangerous as mine was, and it could just be bullying at school. It could just be, certain things that our child gets hurt.
Right.
Well, then as we grow up, it's actually that child that's like driving the car. It's that
Yeah.
child that learned all these horrible codependent behaviors, and it's our inner child that's like, no, we're doing this, we're doing that, making our decisions as adults.
Yeah.
So having our conversations, I tend to say, it's egos talking to egos out there in the world. It really is. It's egos talking to egos. But when you get down to it, it's inner child damaged ego, because, oh
Okay.
man, we were unsafe at some point, or somebody hurt us, or somebody said something as a child. So our ego takes that and starts blowing up out of proportion, with the inner child backing that all up.
Okay.
So I had to really do the inner child work. And I will tell you, that poor soul, but lovely being, Mary, at the time, that's what her name was, the counselor. Man, I mean, I was difficult. Of course I was difficult. Of course I was difficult.
Yeah.
Um, and and she kept trying to get me there, kept trying to get me there. And of course I could logically say everything. I could present all the information, but she wanted me to understand how angry I really was, and how hurt I really was. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I forgave
Yeah.
everybody. But
That's yeah.
all my actions and communication and everything, no, I mean, they tried to put me in anger management in high school, and I was like, that was just a dumb conversation when I was a kid to me, because the dean was like, well, your teachers and case managers and everything, they think you should, maybe join this anger management group. And, all teenagers have anger issues. Okay, okay. And then by the end of the conversation, well, how many is in the group? Well, there's only like 6 or 7. So you'll get the care you need. And then I totally went, no, I'm not doing that. You just told me that every teenager is angry, but there's only 6 in there. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was a very angry human being my entire life.
Yeah.
Um, until I did the generational cleaning.
Mhm.
Um, but to get to actually the heart of acknowledging, so awareness of what my inner child really needed and what really happened, what really went down, is my lovely counselor at one day, I came in, I'm babbling probably about whatever. And then she started asking me, she led me into it. She kind of sideswiped me, which was good. You got to do that with me, you know.
Yeah.
She started asking me like where Brad and I lived, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
like what's the neighborhood look like? You talk to anybody in the neighborhood? How many
Mhm.
dogs? But she's just asking me about the neighborhood. I'm thinking this is, and I'm just going along. I'm trying now because she's built enough trust with me that okay. And then all of a sudden she goes, now Courtney, if there was a kid in a house in your neighborhood that was going through what you went through, the same stuff was happening in that house,
Mhm.
what would you do? And my immediate response was, oh, I would kill that MF.
Yeah.
And then it clicked.
Okay.
I had to put it in another kid's shoes. I had to put it in another household.
Mhm.
And she was like, yeah, yeah, that was you.
Mhm.
And then of course I tried backtrack, but I'm like, well, I wouldn't maybe kill him,
Yeah.
but I'd remove that child immediately and there'd
Mhm.
be
Yeah.
vast punishment. Like I tried to
Yeah.
backtrack, like, there wouldn't be death.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, it was in that moment, all of a sudden it clicked.
Mhm.
And she, of course, because, we hear all these things of, you marry your father, you marry your mother,
Mhm.
she started saying, Courtney, you didn't marry your father, you didn't marry your mother. It was nothing like that. She said, but you spent your entire career taking care of other people's kids that
Mhm.
grew up exactly like you did, or did. And she then said, you've been trying to rescue yourself.
Mhm.
And that's when everything went, oh my goodness. Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's
Turn it
spend
inward.
time. Yeah, let's
Finally turn
spend
it inward.
time. Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't, because if it's a lot of trauma, we end up disassociating,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
And she brought me back to that little girl was me. Um and then over time, which is lovely, I reconnected with that little one.
Mhm.
I There was a lot done, first it was a matter of I'm sorry, you know, for everything you had to experience and go through. Then it went from what do you want to do? What do you want to do? How can I reparent you? And I like in the class I taught Saturday, a lot of people talk about reparenting their inner child, but then there's no examples as to how.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of where I think maybe I was alluding to, because there's a lot of like, oh, heal your inner child. Oh, you got to do this. Oh, you have to, but it's like, I need like instructions. Like, I need like a step by step. So people are like, heal your trauma. And I'm like, that sounds lovely, but like, how? It's like go to counseling, and then you go to counseling and your counselor seemed to like eventually hone in on what, but
Yeah.
like when you go to counseling, it's a lot of just like, a lot of times it's like just talk therapy, and it's not like when you have this thought, try this. Or I mean, it should be, but I guess, a lot anyway. So yeah,
Well,
it's like,
I'm an advocate for counseling, but I will
right,
say,
right.
I mean, it's
Everyone
not
should
like she was
go.
the first counselor in my life and then she nailed it. No, trust me. Um,
Right. You
so
got
it's
to shop around and like dig.
yes, and also, I mean, seek out those who specialize in what you need help with.
Mhm.
If it's an eating disorder, seek one of them out. If
Right.
it's addiction, seek one of them out. Mine was, I knew for a fact, is codependency.
Mhm.
Um, because I never, prior to your brother, ain't nobody was around. No. I mean, I
Yeah.
was cool, but I lived alone damn near
Yeah.
my whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, my sister left the house at 13. My mom was doing her thing. And I met your brother when I was like 27, 28 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was
Yeah.
like, and then all of a sudden we're together and I mean, my horrible habits were just, it was not pretty. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, that I knew I had to seek out someone that specialized in that.
Mhm.
Um, so I am an advocate for counseling. I
Right.
definitely am. And I will also say, if you are like me, it takes at least like 5 months
Right.
to
It takes a
even
minute.
start wrapping your head around that what they're saying, to take the steps that they're saying. Because they'll keep repeating things because usually the same patterns are happening. But it
Mhm.
takes like those 3 months to build the trust. And then it takes like the fourth month to even like acknowledge, like, oh, what we always talk about, and she's telling me to do this. She's saying for me to do this in this moment, like to put it all together. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this scenario that I'm always bitching about is actually happening right now.
Yeah.
She's telling me to do this. It usually takes
Yeah.
a whole fourth month of going, I don't know about that though.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
It
And
seems
then by the fifth
yeah.
to be like, okay, it's happening again. She's saying to do this. You know what? I just got to try it. I just
Yeah.
got to try it to actually start doing what they tell you to do,
Yeah.
out of repetition. I mean, usually most people that have issues like me, it is trust issues. It's this, it's that, and
Mhm.
it's a lot of us. So it takes time. There is no like, oh, I went to counseling for 8 sessions and I'm not cured. No, it takes time to
That's what
start
yeah.
implementing.
I know I have a friend that's like um she has been through it's like she doesn't even know she's been through hell.
Yeah,
You
right.
know?
Yeah,
She doesn't even know. And so like she went through um huge family, very strict, very like patriarchal to the point of like subjugating women,
yeah.
and a lot of kids. A lot of kids. She's number 8 of 9 children
Oh goodness.
and all this stuff. And you can just see, I mean, anyone who's the slightest empath can just see her on a day to day and be like, oh my God, like this is every single one of her actions comes from like trauma and pain.
Yeah,
And so like I keep trying to tell her, I keep trying to tell her, and I was like, obviously I try to sugarcoat it a little bit, but I'm like,
right.
you need therapy. Like you need therapy.
Yeah.
Like there is stuff going on here that is so deep rooted into
Well,
like
it's because, Amy,
yeah,
this is all learned. And this is all
yeah,
of our inner child reacting. And you only know what you know. That's what I'm saying. Like awareness
right, right.
is the first. Like and it's self-awareness. It's not
Yeah.
usually other people saying, yeah, you're messing. How many years people tried to have interventions with me, and I was like, well, if I would just stop being angry,
Yeah.
this will all change when my anger goes away.
Yeah.
When is that going to happen? So it's
Exactly.
right. So it's
Well,
that
and she's like,
self-awareness.
yeah, and she's like, well, during COVID, her insurance would pay for like 3 counseling visits.
Right.
She's like, so, I went the 3 times and I did XYZ and I'm okay. And I'm like, Give me a minute." Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
but
unfortunate that that's how a lot of insurances go. And
yeah,
but even regardless of that, there are things that you can do if
right.
you're ready and prepared to want to do them. Like if it is inner child work, um, I have people sit and imagine that their little self, their 5, 6-year-old self,
Mhm.
is sitting in front of them. And just imagine, which this is really hard the first time. Just imagine they're sitting in front of you and, tell them you're sorry. I mean, we do damage to ourselves. We do hardcore damage to ourselves.
Yes.
And tell them you're sorry. Like, I didn't take care of you as well as I should have. And I'm sorry that all of this happened. You should
Mhm.
never experienced any of this as a child. You should never, no human should experience stuff like this.
Yeah.
And tell them you're sorry. And then that little one's going to respond. That
Yeah.
little one in front of you is going to say, it's okay, or thank you, or, you know,
Mhm.
maybe that little one's going to cry. Maybe that you never know what the little one's going to do. But then from there, you tell them, but I'm now here for you. I'm
Mhm.
going to take care of you.
Yeah.
We're going to rebuild the trust.
Yeah.
I want you to know you are safe. You are
Mhm.
loved. I'm taking care of you.
Mhm.
And then ask that little one in front of you, what do you need? Just what do you need? And they will tell you. And it might be, I mean, it can change from all over the place. Um, Mine had a lot. Mine at the beginning was like, I need you to stop doing this. I need you to stop doing this. I need you to stop doing that. You're hurting yourself and me. And it was like, okay,
Yeah.
little one. But I will tell you, usually, because you're talking to a little one, at the
Mhm.
very end, they'll put in there, and I want you to start playing with your dog more, or I want you to
Yeah.
color more, or I want us to slide around on our butts more. Whatever
Yeah.
it is, because it's a little one. So
But
then what it is like if it's a big list of like, yeah, stop hurting yourself as an adult,
mhm.
um, then just you can say, okay, all that stuff, I will promise you I will do it. It's gonna take some time. I think you know that.
Mhm.
But I'll slide around on my butt and go sledding with you right now
Yeah.
to start building that trust so that little inner child knows, oh, she is gonna do, he is gonna do, they are gonna do what I'm asking.
Mhm.
And I've done that to the point now that she and I are integrated. She and I are good. And
Yeah.
because I'm an adult and I got a bunch of adult stuff to do, I still at least twice a month, I take out a chunk of time to just go, hey, little Courtney, what do you want to do right now? And she might just want to cry because it's been a crazy adult month.
Right.
She might want to color. She might want to dress my dog up in weird clothing. She might want to just
Okay.
watch one of her favorite movies. She might
Mhm.
want to bake and probably horribly, and there's flour all over the house. Like she
That
might,
sounds
it
fun.
doesn't, but I give that chunk of time. And I do want to say, being conscious of tapping in and allowing your inner child to have that space
Mhm.
is vastly different than if you're a parent and you have kids and you're hanging out with and having fun with your kids. It's
Yeah.
not the same. Kids keep you young, but it's not the same. It's giving your inner child the time to express itself, to
Mhm.
know that you are there for them.
Yeah.
And so in this house, you might not know this, Amy, in this house between your brother and I, we call that being little.
Well, being lit.
Being
I love
little.
it.
So even
Okay.
if like Brad comes in from work and he sees me in a certain position or I'm doing something, he'll just look at me and he's like, "Are you being little?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm little right now."
Okay.
And we are perfectly fine with that in this house
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
needs to be. And he does the same.
Mhm.
Are you being little, Brett? Yeah, I'm being little.
Okay.
Um, and it's good because they
Mhm.
need to know that they are safe. They need to know that they can express themselves. They need to start living a different life than what they did live.
Okay.
And then once that's really in place, they can move back to the back of the seat of the car where they should
Mhm.
be, and the adult person, me,
Mhm.
others, and our egos are in the back seat as well. Now we are actually driving the car. We are actually making correct decisions. We are
Mhm.
not making all of our decisions based off of emotions. We are
Right.
becoming healthy. So that it really does start a lot with the inner child to start healing the generational stuff.
Okay, cool.
It, that was a lot, I know.
No, no, that's kind of what I wanted. I thought about the question when you asked me if I wanted to do this. I thought about the question. I was like, this is a question I want an answer to. And then I kept looking at it. I wrote it down. I was like, that's vague. That's really
Oh
vague. I
yeah,
don't
but I
know.
can go forever about it.
But I
Yeah.
was like, no, but it's healing and it's personal and it's gonna be different for everyone and it's gonna be multifaceted, and people want to start with inner child stuff, and then or some people might want to start with like shadow work that you mentioned. So like
Yeah.
it's yeah, and I kind of I was hoping just for like a confetti answer and then just kind of catch the pieces that I was like, oh, okay. And so,
Well,
anyway.
we talk a lot on this channel, Amy, because it really does boil down to it often
Mhm.
of, are you in love or are you in fear? Now, of course, those are
Yeah,
umbrellas that have a whole lot of details and stuff to them,
right.
but it really is that. And
Yeah,
oftentimes we are vastly in fear, or our thoughts, or all of just what we're doing in life, how we perceive life is really actually based out of fear. And
yeah,
you got to think, when you came into this world, that didn't exist.
right,
It might have changed the first 20 minutes, but it didn't exist.
right.
So you're taking care of the fear that became present in for that child who is now an adult, who has
Yeah.
grown up with the eyes of actually fear,
Hmm.
so we can try to change it into love as we heal that inner child and spend time with them and
Yeah.
reparent. Reparenting really means take care of them the way that you should have been taken care of, which
Yeah.
means quality time, which means taking care of the body, which means give them time to play, which means read them a story. I often read my inner child a story because
Hmm.
I, in my adult Courtney, I don't remember any nursery rhyme. I don't really remember fairy tales.
Right.
I've started rereading them as an adult for her because I know they were done for me, but I was checked out.
Right.
So it really is that you just become the parent you were supposed to be, that you were supposed to receive, and
Yeah.
we all have that.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah. I feel like it's pretty universal. I feel like it's come up. I mean, I'm on Instagram a lot and there's a lot of self-help like healing, do healing. And I'm like, that's so um I don't know.
Well, and I
It's a
think,
big thing, and like where would one even start? Or like you say on your channel, great healers have healed greatly.
yeah,
So like and that's a huge, I mean, greatly. It's a
yeah,
big word and
yes,
it's really
yeah.
so yeah,
Um,
so like yeah.
Great healers do. The great healers of all, uh, really of all, have
Mhm.
healed, have had to heal greatly. And it's not just, so even if they didn't have a horrible life, like take the first Buddha, he didn't
Mhm.
have a horrible life, but he saw what his people were going through. He
Yeah,
saw the suffering, and it traumatized him so much that he sought out to find out how do I relieve this for them.
right.
Hence all that's transpired.
Mhm.
So even for us who maybe our lives weren't all that bad, in today's world, we are now knowing, because of the technology, because of this and that, there's healing all around. So we can look at all that. So greatly does encompass greatly. So I'm talking when it's a great healer. Now on an individual basis, yes, we do have to heal. I know a lot of practitioners that I love them dearly. They still need a lot of healing. And they're
Yeah.
doing their best, but they still need a lot of healing. So their
Yeah.
messages are not always clear. Their messages are not always maybe the best, but it's what they know at the time.
Right.
Um, and that's okay. That's where they're at. It, yeah, the greatly encompasses a lot.
Yeah.
Remember our conscious level, which we got to move through forgiveness and accepting and all this stuff. Our conscious levels is when we start to be able to see, oh, all is connected, all can be love and joy. But to get through that, it is willingness, acceptance, forgiveness. And it's hard for people. The forgiveness part is hard because of the trauma. Um, and but it's not just us. Our parents also had to forgive. And maybe they did and maybe they didn't. And their
Yeah.
parents had to forgive. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. You
Yeah.
know, I had my grandfather on my dad's side, his grandpa, um, he did the whole like I'm gonna go get a pack of smokes, I'll be back, and never came back.
Okay.
And so the line in the family was always, he joined the circus.
Yeah.
And his my grandfather was 8 years old at the time. This is during the
Wow.
Depression. His dad handed him the shotgun and said, "The meals are on you."
Wow. Okay.
He's gone. Well, come to find out, he was only like 2 towns away, just having a completely other family. So
Wow.
don't think that my grandfather, by the time he got older, probably didn't see his dad somewhere in
Yeah.
the mix, get at a gas station.
Yeah.
That kind of trauma, that kind of stuff. Well, if my grandfather, which I'm sure probably did not forgive his father,
Yeah.
it just trickles down.
Yeah.
It just trickles down.
Yeah. So when you do that, is that part of your like, is that part of your healing then to like go back to
Yeah,
the grandfather that left and be like,
yeah,
I forgive you.
yeah,
I forgive you. I forgive.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And sometimes because they're not as close. I didn't know my
Yeah.
great grandfather, of course, but it's like I forgive you because I know my grandfather was, it changed his life,
Right.
and then he changed the life of my father, so on
Yeah.
and so forth. And it's not like I've gone back to my entire family tree from the Mayflower,
Yeah.
but
It's,
it's
it's not like
that,
you go back to Charlemagne or
but
something
and
and
it
be like, I
doesn't have
forgive
to be
you.
like
Like,
this deep. I will tell you actually, so when I was 14, and there needs to be more emotion attached to this system, but when I was 14, I developed a system for myself to just get through.
okay.
And it was, I remember it. It was knowledge, understanding, acceptance, resolution.
Okay.
And this was me at 14. Yeah, this was why it was difficult for me to live in this world.
Yeah.
So, knowledge to me meant exactly that. I need to find out what happened with my great grandparents. Like, I was just gaining all this knowledge of both sides of my tree, all four parts. What the hell happened to these people?
Right.
What happened here? Gaining it, then understanding. Do I understand it? Do I understand what it would have been like to be an 8-year-old in the Depression and dad just left?
Yeah.
Can I even wrap my head around that? Do I understand how all this has now trickled down to, oh my gosh, the dangerous, chaotic household I grew up in?
Yeah.
Understanding. So first knowledge, I was gaining all sorts of family knowledge. I mean, whoa, you people have been messed up forever.
Right, right.
You know?
It goes,
Yeah.
it goes
Um,
back. It goes back. Yeah.
yeah, can I understand how this has now trickled down and, has become so severe that it's here. They in scriptural biblical ways, they refer to it as, the son will inherit the sins of the father four
Right.
times. So I actually tried to go back 4 generations
Okay.
when I first started this. And yeah, and then it's like, oh yeah, clearly my family got the worst of it, but I want to break the chain. I don't, we're not doing this. I want to break the chain. Um, then yeah, fully understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Acceptance, the next part was me going, okay, well, this happened to them and this happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you accept the fact that it did happen, Courtney? Like you're not in denial. Um, this was messed up. This was difficult. This did change the trajectory of your life thus far.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is why you're a 14-year-old in high school under case management.
Mm-hmm.
There 3 high schools have turned you down already. You like your mom, they don't know what to do with you. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is why this has happened. Um, can you accept it for at least right now? And it was like, yeah. Well, out of that acceptance sprung forgiveness. Because even now, as I didn't know at 14, on the levels of consciousness chart, there's acceptance, and the emotional attached to it is forgiveness. So I was really
Mm-hmm.
working through forgiveness, and that's
Okay.
my resolution. My
Okay.
resolution was forgiving. I forgive these. I forgive, for they know not what they do.
Right.
And then
Right.
and then as an adult, I turned it into, because I just kept doing even more damage. It's not like I thought this as I was 14 and it
You were
worked.
magically,
Yeah, it worked
yeah.
wonders for me.
Yeah.
I had a lot of anger. That's why the emotion I understand now does need to be a part of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
this was a very logical system of, okay, do.
Yeah.
As an adult, it was like, yeah, but you didn't handle those emotions, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like you have to incorporate the emotions as well. And that
Mm-hmm.
would be in that acceptance area. This did happen. I have to feel this. I have to acknowledge into the
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness of the emotions of forgiveness and working through it to that resolution, that full resolution of once forgiveness is there. And I say this in many of my classes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Forgiveness is actually the doorway, the key to higher consciousness. Period.
Okay.
Period. I
Yeah.
will tell people, the foundation to spiritual growth is meditation and gratitude. Oh, yeah, definitely. Foundation, the doorway, the key to keep leveling up, so to speak, is
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness. Period.
Okay.
That's why Christ, another ascended master, kept saying, forgive them for they know not what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And then later in life,
Okay.
for me, it became, forgive us for we know not what we do. Because I realized I didn't want any separation there. I had done
Oh,
just,
between you. Okay.
yes, I had
Yeah.
done just as crappy things as anybody else.
Yeah.
I was just as ignorant and had my inner
Mm-hmm.
child throwing fits all over as an adult everywhere,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it then became forgive us for we know not what we do. Because why am I separating myself from the all? So
Nice. Nice. You can't, yeah, no, like you're forgiving all your ancestors and you're doing all this stuff and it's not like the
yeah,
buck stops here, but like you're
right.
still a part of that. They still led you to this place.
Yeah,
So that separation kind of doesn't make sense yet. Like it doesn't.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And
Okay.
that's why I say forgiveness is the doorway, because it leads
Yeah.
to really understanding how all is connected.
Yeah.
The all, generations, your DNA, your all.
exactly.
is connected. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And like, do you feel yourself, because you've come such a long way as well. So, but
Have to
like,
heal greatly.
right, yeah. So like, do you do those, does stuff still, because like how I grew up, I still feel like I'm trying to heal greatly and stuff, and like I'm trying to do this. I'm not sure I'm doing it right, but like I'm trying to do this stuff, but I feel like I'm still like a teenager growing up in it, because that was hectic
Mhm.
for us. That was when, like when we were younger, I was like, this doesn't, this household doesn't feel right. Like it doesn't feel like there's a lot of love here. It doesn't feel like there was there was there was just a lot of anger that wasn't coming from anything Brad and I did. It was, there was just a lot of anger. There wasn't a lot of love and everything. And then it got hectic
Yeah.
when we were like teenagers, and it was
Yeah.
like constant. And I still feel myself in that kind of headspace. Like I still feel, like I said last night, I was like, I am 41 years old, but I still feel kind of like trauma and healing wise that I'm like 16, 17 at kind of the heart of the chaos. So did you experience that as well? Like as you're
Yeah.
going through it, you still felt like things were still happening, like in
Yeah. And I
real
will
time?
say, Amy, I keep referring to the inner child. I do hang out with teenage Courtney once in a while.
Yeah, okay.
So when we say inner child, we say it's the ages of whenever that your person needs to heal.
Mhm.
Mine was definitely mostly I had to start younger. But it's not that I don't hang out with teenage Courtney, and she's
Mhm.
still teenage Courtney in a lot of ways. But
Right.
a lot of teenage Courtney was good.
Okay.
Um, it was good.
Yeah.
Um, and this is just my opinion, my perception of things as well,
Hmm.
is that we tend to, this is just like I said, an opinion of mine, but
Hmm.
I've noticed that we actually start processing what happened. We start actually experiencing the memories more correctly as to how these events occurred
Yeah.
20 years post.
I'm on target then.
You're on target then.
Yeah.
So, right. So when I'm in my
Okay.
30s, I am
Mhm.
looking back at
Mhm.
what was happening when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
when I started reaching my 40s, it was like, what happened in high school?
Yeah.
You know, um,
Okay.
it's like that's the time that the memories kind of catch up, or that's the time that our subconscious goes, yeah, 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 it's time. We're gonna get rid of this.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so you are, in my opinion, you are in order of um processing that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, in the next decade, I get to do
All that
probably the
shit
beginning of
all
Brad and
over.
I's marriage, which yay. Looking back at it, what happened?
Yeah.
How are we still standing?
Yeah.
Um, so it's just the brain, it's just how kind of the loose rhythmic movement of time works for us.
Mhm.
But saying that, the same techniques we use, as I was saying with the inner child, can be used with the teen.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and you're not just the only one. I think
Right,
I
right.
hear that more often. Of I feel like a 19-year-old. Like a 19-year-old opposed to a 30 or 40 something year old. Um,
Mhm.
I know that I got stuck for some reason. I felt 19 in my mind,
Right.
you know, um, until I was at least about 33. Even
Okay.
though I'm responsible, I'm taking care of a bunch of stuff.
Mhm.
For some reason, it's like my brain just got stuck there.
Yeah.
And which is odd that it wouldn't have gotten stuck other places, but it's like, oh, I'm 19.
Yeah.
Um, but it is a part of, you can process all of that. You
Yeah.
can process all of that, and it's the willingness. How much willingness do we have? Um, we do have to look at things. We have to love on that teenager. I mean, like I said, I'll tap into teenage Courtney, um, because she needs love too. I mean, she was going through some hard stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes even I'll tap in real quick and be like, teenage Courtney, do you think we should do this?
Mm-hmm.
And because she's actually she had a much more open heart, even though full of anger, she had a much more open heart. She might be like, no, you have to guard your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know sounds odd, but my heart is so open that it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, this might be dangerous. So
Yeah.
teenage Courtney had an open heart, but she was much more reserved in how she let people see it. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I have to tap into her and be like, do we let this one in or do we not let this one in? Because I
Yeah.
want to love everybody.
Right.
So she kind of regulates that for me. Uh, there's a lot of ways. And Amy, I think we are, as you kind of brought up the time period, we are living in a time though, that if
Yeah.
we so choose, we do not have to carry the karma around of even our past lives.
Mm-hmm.
If we so choose, we don't have to carry a lot of this stuff anymore. But because many people are not at the conscious level of oneness and love and joy,
Mm-hmm.
they still have to go through the process.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
like I met it was a long time ago, but he mentioned he was a very, I don't know how else to say it, he was a very woo-woo guy.
Woo. Yes.
Very woo-woo guy.
Very woo woo. We
He
love the
was
woo
like,
woo.
yeah, my psychic side that I'm like an alien from this planet and I'm a warrior and I'm here to learn how to be human and blah blah. And I was like, okay. But he was saying stuff like where we are, like coming on the age of Aquarius or whatever, that like that there's you're here for like lessons, to learn lessons, and as we're coming on to a new age or the new age is beginning, those lessons that you haven't learned yet are coming in quicker succession. So you have to, see the lesson, learn the lesson, and practice it. And whereas that might have been, and then it's going to come back up, and then you're going to be tested, and then you're going to be tested again and again and again. And that process is speeding up just because of where we are cosmically and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of why I'm like, all right, how do we do this? Let's do this. I want to heal. I want to heal greatly. And of course, it's me. So I'm like, I want it done now. I wanted it done last Tuesday. You know what I mean? So I'm like, what do I do? I was in counseling. I was in counseling for like 7 years. And at first, I was like, this is great. This is awesome. And as counseling does, I started going there for one thing, and then it morphed into so many other things until it kind of ran its course. And so I am starting with a new therapist also, but it's a completely different perspective
Yeah.
for it. So it's like my I feel like my other therapist, while we touched on some kind of like esoteric, like spiritual things, my new therapist is just like, let's change your brain waves. Like,
Yeah.
let's do this.
Yes.
Like, let's. So I'm kind of excited about it, but yeah,
Yeah, you should be. That'll be good.
yeah,
Everybody's got to switch up stuff all the time because we do
yeah,
plateau. I
yeah,
mean, we
exactly.
only get to a certain level when we're doing stuff. I mean, we do plateau, and then
Mhm.
you change it up. You throw something in the mix. You
Yeah,
don't want to eat the same meal every night,
Right.
so it's like, so I'm actually happy you're doing that. I think,
Yeah.
that concept, a lot of people have been talking about this lately,
Hmm.
well, for the past while, about the lessons that we need to learn
Yeah.
happening faster and faster. Well, here's the deal. What I really meant, if you so choose, you
Hmm.
actually can, jump right past that. Like the karma, our karma is actually not really in play anymore. But because
Okay.
we've lived so many lives not experiencing anything different, we can't see past these lessons that we supposedly need to keep going with.
Okay.
So it is the whole you got to go, through to get out, or you have to go in with it to get out, and
Hmm.
um, because we're just the majority of us are not understanding. No, it's actually energetically not present.
Okay.
But even, I do timeline cleanses. I'm actually going in and cleaning up people's karma, because
Hmm.
our timelines are like, imagine like an old phone cord,
Hmm.
a spiral. They're all connected. You could see it as DNA. I could,
Hmm.
what have you. Um, and when there is significant trauma in current life, past lives, it puts negative energy there. And that negative energy is what propels certain things in our lives that we might not even be aware of.
Hmm.
Everybody takes the big stuff as our lessons. Usually that's not the thing, because we're going to see it, we're going to confront it, we're going to work with it or not. It's
Hmm.
all this little stuff like the codependent thought pattern, the low self-esteem, having to change the brain waves, as you just mentioned. It's
Hmm.
all these little things. And so with my timeline cleanses, that's actually, I'm helping kickstart that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm helping
Yeah.
to go in and clean up all the negative energy that just trickles through, that keeps going. And why we might feel things and know things or have things about us, that we came into this world with insecurities and whatnot, because it is from past lives. But I do want to emphasize, if you so chose, the energies right now, and they've been this way for about 2 years now,
Okay.
so you do not have to keep living your life having to learn lessons.
Mm-hmm.
It is energetically pretty much wiped clean.
Okay.
You can just become a better person and start learning the esoteric and gaining the knowledge and then becoming, the ascended master that we all should be. But like I said, the
Mhm.
flip side of the coin is nobody really knows how to just do that and let go
Right.
and become that without
Hmm.
going through, because that's what the process has always been since the great forgetfulness,
Hmm.
the great forgetting is always been that way. And I do want to put that out there. That's what it boils down to. If once you have done enough healing, enough work, enough this, enough that, and you remember who you are,
Hmm.
well, once you remember that you are the great I am,
Hmm.
you know, we collectively are that. Once you remember that, snap of a finger, that is gone. All the lessons, all the this, all the that, that is a
Hmm.
human condition.
Okay. Yep.
We just level up big time. But unfortunately, we are humans and we're in the human condition.
Yeah.
So it's kind of whoever might be listening to this, you decide. You know what I mean? Are you
Hmm.
going to fully remember who you are as the mastery present self? That bam, I I manifest, I create, I this, I that. I mean, I
Hmm.
am the great I am. Um, or do you want to take the road of healing, which is perfectly beautiful, fine too. That's actually how I had to do it as well.
Hmm.
So it's perfectly fine. But yeah, and I don't see it as like, oh, lessons we have to learn, and I'm going to keep messing up and blah, blah, blah. And
Oh yeah.
why do I keep missing this? I see all of what happens right now in life as opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunities to practice, am I in love or am I in fear? Period. That's for me. I opportunity. Am I in love or am I in fear? And I am still in this humanness,
Yeah.
ness that yeah. All right. Whoa, Courtney, you're in fear. What's that all about? Let's
Yeah.
look at that. Because now I train myself to catch my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I catch them.
Yep.
And that, honestly, I guess if anybody can hear anything out of this, begin to catch your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
The more we catch our thoughts and realize, oh man, I am in anger, I
Mm-hmm.
am in judgment, which is just or this is all fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am in
Yeah.
this, I am in that, right? Um, that's where it really begins.
Catching the thoughts,
Catching your thoughts. Yeah,
buggy thoughts. Yep.
yeah, yeah. Is this
Mhm.
hurt? Is this fear? It's all, everything is either fear or love. And I will
Yeah.
also say, for this grand time that we're talking about, that we're living in, the age of Aquarius.
Right.
Well, we're also at humanity is at this time of, how's this want to look for you? Because I will tell you, there is stuff going in place that if we are riding too much on the fear side, this
Mhm.
could possibly just end. I mean, we are back at the end of a cycle, or the end and the beginning, like all
Right.
ancient stuff, the end and the beginning of, if we want full destruction of this planet, of us, that is fully possible right now. But
Mhm.
this is all being determined on the scales of, as we learn in Emerald Tablets,
Mhm.
Lord 8, who goes, oh, well, the humans are way more in fear. We might as well just start over again. Or are
Yeah.
these humans more in love? Because if we end up being more in love, we then can ride the wave into the age of Aquarius and become the new earth, learn of our mastery presence, and
Mhm.
create, form out of the formless, as we learn in the Emerald Tablets. So I'm not trying to say this to be for anybody to be scared. It's not to be
No.
scared. This
Yeah.
is, it really does now boil down to, are you in love or are you in fear? So catch your thoughts, because if you're in fear, talk through it.
Mhm.
Are you just basing it off of emotions? Are they, because
Yeah.
oftentimes, Amy, fear, it can be imagined or real. And
Yeah.
so many of us, it's imagined. None of
Yes.
it's actually happening.
Yes. That's and what helped me out when I started talking to this woo woo dude. I don't know what else to call him. But
That's
anyway,
right.
like when I started and he was giving me tons of information, of tons, and it was overwhelming. It was so overwhelming to me at the time. I was in a very strange time in my life. Like I was just coming
I
off a
remember this, Amy. Yeah, I
yeah,
remember. Yeah.
I was coming off a lot of garbage.
Hmm.
I'm trying to be diplomatic and not get too deep or whatever. I was coming off a lot of garbage, and and I was very vulnerable, and he was giving me a lot of information, and I'm like, I can't stop talking, like I can't sleep, and he's like, no, 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 this is just information. This is just like little traffic cones to help guide you through stuff. It's not like this is going to happen and this is the end all be all.
Right.
This is just information to be like, what do you want to do about it now? Like, what do you see a traffic cone, but it looks safe? Drive over it, whatever. Like, ignore it. But if you see that traffic cone and it's like, you know what, that does look dangerous, I'm gonna go this way. He's like, that's all it is. It's just little traffic
Yeah.
cones, little markers to do it. So, and yeah. I know. I feel like I come off a little more delicate than I actually am because people do talk to me like that and they're like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, all right. They're like, sorry, that's a lot. I'm like, it's just information. Like, I'm just taking it in. Like, all right, that doesn't resonate with me. I'm gonna leave it. This does. I'm gonna keep it. Like,
Well,
so
I think that's why I'm doing this, like
yeah,
this stuff, because it does become when you do have a lot more going on, like a lot more knowledge and
yeah,
experience and whatnot, and then we're with a lovely being like you, or we're even trying to do videos like this, yeah,
yeah,
um, we can present a lot, and then we kind of backtrack in our mind of like, whoa, was that too overwhelming for them?
yeah,
Or like I even said at the top of this, because I can go off on some crazy tangents, kind of
mhm.
like I probably just did with, yeah, do you want the world to end, people? You better get into love. Um, like Courtney, don't do that to humans. Um, it's that kind of thing. And of course,
Right,
that's the thing too, guys. Nothing is actually written in stone. That
right,
concept completely needs to be let go of. Absolutely nothing has ever been written in stone,
mhm.
ever. Um, maybe I'll do that one day as a, you
Mhm.
know, uh, ancient scripture lesson.
Yeah,
Never has anything been written in stone. Um, so but it does boil down, and you know what? And it's best for us to start viewing things that way anyway.
yeah,
Are we in love or are we in fear?
mhm,
And if we are in fear, is this fear real or is it imagined?
mhm,
If it's real, well then okay. We need to find solutions. We need to
yeah,
express it to others. We need to, talk about it. We need to, that's normal. That's part of the human experience. That is a part of
mhm,
why we came.
mhm,
If it's imagined, which usually is a whole lot of the rabbit holes people go down,
mhm,
well then we need to backtrack and go, okay, none of this is actually happening right now.
mhm.
None of it is.
Yeah,
So how can I cover it in love? You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and love too. That was a big discussion too with this dude. I feel like I should give him credit, but whatever. I actually haven't talked to him in like years, but and when he was talking about love and stuff like that, like it's which this has driven me nuts my entire life. People
Yeah.
talking about love like it's romantic love, and
Mm,
that's the only kind of love there is. And he was like, love as in compassion. Like when certain things were written, vocab was kind of narrow. So, and mistranslations and blah, blah, blah. But like when you say love, 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 love thy neighbor, love whoever, love, our fear and love. And it's like more like compassion. And those are like one of the things that he told me that like I every day I'm like,
yes.
okay, that thank God I use that perspective because
And
it's
good for him. You want
yeah,
to know when, so like a lot of people, we're still, as a global body, as a humanity, we're still too much in the 3D, but there's
yeah,
more moving in and out 3D and
yeah,
4, right? Moving three,
yeah,
3 and 4. I mean, and that's a part of the grand awakening, right? You
yeah.
want to know what it is to level up to 5 from 4? What the catalyst to get out of 4 to go on up is?
What?
Compassion.
Yeah.
Seeing
I just
compassion as a whole, seeing compassion for all man. That is
yeah,
when it goes into forgive us for we know not what we do, because I'm throwing compassion at myself now as well.
yeah.
I mean, we tend to
Yeah,
judge ourselves more than anybody else.
yeah.
So
That's
it is
just yeah.
it to get it to move out of 4 It is
Mhm.
the practice and seeing the opportunities to practice compassion.
Yeah.
That's how you
And
get to
that's
five.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, when love gets thrown around, I still get a little grumpy about it. And I know how that sounds, but like, but it's like, oh, but you should love this person. Love. I'm like, I don't have to love anybody. I can see where they're coming from, and I don't wish them any harm or anything.
Right.
But I, I, I don't. I'm big on boundaries right now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Good.
I'm like, I don't need them in my life. I don't need them in my life. Um, but I do feel for them.
Yeah.
Like I feel for people a lot, but I'm not, but they're having their own journey. I don't have to be involved. If they come to me for support, of course I will support them. But
Right.
like I have to do my healing stuff, and like I've
Yeah.
like and that compassion is for me right now. It's really
Yes.
difficult to turn it on yourself, but I'm
Yes.
like, I don't have enough for them right now. I do feel for them, and I don't wish anybody really any like ill will, but like but yeah, like that needs to be for, I'm
Well,
still
that
working
actually
on
needs
myself.
to be kind of talked about, Amy, because
Yeah.
now, things have become a cliche.
Yeah.
I'm sending you love and light. Really? And
Yeah.
I've said this on this program, if if we as a person tried to send love and light to every single person that we said it to,
Yeah.
you would get nothing else done.
Yeah.
When somebody says that, they're not doing anything. They're texting you and going, yeah, I hope that goes out good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're not actually sending love and light. It's become a cliche. I
Yeah.
mean, I do think everybody should take like 3 people a week and send them love and light.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm just saying. It's like verbiage that we're just spewing out.
Yeah.
On top of, the when you're talking about the compassion and taking care of yourself, for a good long time, when that term holding space for someone started
Yeah.
coming more into play, it
Yeah.
drove me nuts.
Yeah.
I'm not, see, this always happens in an interview with me. Courtney, we hit some kind of where Courtney's sore
I
about
know.
this stuff,
I'm
and
kind
then
of
I'm
on
gonna
there.
start
Yeah.
preaching from my mountaintop. It drove me nuts
Yeah.
because the majority of people that were saying that, well, first I had to learn what they meant by it, which
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's just what we have been doing forever as a humanity.
Hmm.
But okay, um, it's just quality time in my opinion. But my biggest problem was everyone that I saw posting that and talking about it, and I'm holding space, I'm holding space. My first thought was, you don't even know how to hold space for yourself, let
Yeah.
alone another person.
Yeah.
So you're not. You're actually just listening to them talk. You're being a
Yeah.
good person and keeping your mouth shut. That's not holding space.
Exactly.
That's not
Exactly.
holding energy for
Mhm.
these people. You're just keeping your damn mouth shut.
Yeah.
Which good, you learn to do that somewhere along the line. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like what we say in this world, the terms that become cliches,
Hmm.
that's where the problem is. Actually,
Yeah.
holding space, as in what they're trying to say that
Hmm.
is fully holding energy so that person can heal
Okay.
in that moment. And holding
Mhm.
energy, most people are not capable of doing it because they can't even do it for themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of that. But now it's what I have to say because it's what everybody else is saying for whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah, see now you hit my sore. There's sore
Yeah.
spots with me, Amy, because of
Yeah.
I get weary about cliches. I get weary about how terms
Mhm.
are being used. I get weary about the confusion of definition of things because I
Yeah.
I see the uh, repercussions of it 5, 10 years down the road.
Right. Well, and I've tried to be very deliberate, more deliberate, I guess, about the things I say as well. Because, like, when dad died very suddenly in 2015, a lot of the stuff people were saying really, oh, did they rub me the wrong way? Like, they were like, oh, they're because they assumed a lot about the relationship between me and my dad. They, um, and a lot of what they were saying was for themselves and it wasn't for me. And that really, oh my God, trying to be diplomatic and gracious and, during that time was absolute hell. But so, and I was like, I don't want to say these things. And I've said those things to people, and I am sorry that I did that. But like,
Yeah.
but being in there and people being like, I'm so sorry, you must miss him so much, like blah blah, all that stuff. I'm like, I talk to the man once a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, so anyway, and it was like sending you love and light. Oh, I'm so sorry. You must do this, you must do this. It bothered me so much. So um yeah, but like when so when people are going through grief and going through stuff like that, I do there is sometimes where I'm like, I'm holding a place in my heart for you.
Yeah.
Like, you're in my heart, you
Yeah.
are in my thought. And I know people don't like thoughts and prayers, but I'm like, you are in my thoughts because I do.
That's what I say.
Yeah,
I'm sending you positive thoughts. Because
yeah,
that I can do real quick. I can be like,
yeah,
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 a couple of positive thoughts. But to
yeah,
sit and send somebody love and light is not that's
yeah.
it's now
Or
become a
I
cliche.
hope you're like, I'm trying to send them what I would have wanted for, which all I wanted for, what all I wanted during that time was like comfort
Yeah.
and like just peace and just like
Yeah.
for the noise to stop. And so I'll say stuff like that. Like, I hope you find comfort in your friends and your family during this time.
Right.
I just hope so. Like, yeah, be deliberate about what you say. And if you're not actually sending them like healing energy, then just send them like hope for that. Just send
Well,
them.
and the thing is too, Amy, is like, so I'm a Reiki master.
Yeah,
You actually can't just send people healing love and light
right.
without their permission. So
Yeah,
really, when we're saying I'm sending you love and light, it really is just positive thoughts. I mean, even if
yeah,
you're just texting, it's a, hey, source, take care of that. Hey,
yeah,
I hope you feel peace and comfort today.
yeah,
So it's really, we're just thinking about you for a moment. That's really
yeah.
what's happening. But the way it's delivered is, oh, I'm sending you love and light. May you feel greatness. And it's like, A, you truthfully, you can't send healing energy to someone that's not giving you permission.
Mm-hmm.
And just because you're saying it has nothing to do with them giving you permission.
Right.
And if it's blocked from their energy, that's not good either, because now they're use some of their energies using to block what they don't want from you.
Yeah.
So I mean, we really have to kind of get a handle of things. And um but I do like what you're saying, Amy, about everybody can use some peace.
Right.
Everybody can use some comfort. Everybody can, you know, I hope you're relieved of stress. That's why
Yeah.
I say positive thoughts, because I do think of that person for the moment of like, yeah, I hope that stress is relieved. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's just a thought, which honestly, we're existence is here
Mhm.
because of a thought.
Right.
We're here because of a thought. Some scripture says word. So
Yeah.
therefore, us saying I'm sending you positive thoughts, that is actually way better than
Mhm.
sending love and light, supposedly. I don't know. We got, I got some issues. So,
Yeah.
but we're
Yeah.
gonna end on that, Amy,
Okay.
because I know you have a busy day and I gotta
That's
keep
okay. Yeah.
moving. Um,
I double booked myself. That's why.
yeah,
I
that's
got so
okay.
excited that I just agreed to this. And then I was like, oh, I actually took the time to look at my calendar and I was like, damn
Yeah,
it.
that's okay.
Okay. Okay.
You beautiful stars out there listening and watching, I appreciate you so much. If you're new here to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, help me out, folks. Um, and Emerald Tablets Revealed is every Friday at 11 a.m. I'm live. I do my thing. This, of course, is going to be a part of the Esoteric Tea. And just keep coming back, folks. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff happening over here. And thank you, Amy, for being with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for asking me to do it. Yeah, it's good. Good stuff.
And I will
Love it.
talk to you later, sis. Love
Okay.
you.
Love you. Bye.